We are celebrating a momentous occasion because I hit 100 subscribers, and that's so amazing. So in honor of this, I thought I would do a Q&A. I know it's really typical, but it's pretty fun. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start with the Q&A questions. So the first question is, who is your favorite crow from the Six of Crows? I would definitely say Inej. I'm definitely pro Pirate Queen Inej. Yes, please. Next question is, favorite animal companion? I really like Doomslug from Brandon Sanderson's Skyward series. Next question is what book do you own that has the best cover and which has the worst? So this is definitely probably my best and favorite cover. This is a Taiwanese special edition version of Harry Potter, and there's a whole set of them, but I'm just going to hold up this one. I've just loved this set like ever since I got them. They are quite gorgeous. There's also a lot of small details that go into the series. If you know and you read the series, you'll have a lot of fun Easter eggs and aha moments. Eve the Awakening, I'll obviously post a picture here. Just not a fan of it. I think it's really boring. There's nothing to it. Question after that is, what book would you recommend to someone to get them out of a reading slump? Well, it depends on the reader and depends on what they like and blah, blah, blah. Probably recommend anything that has really strong characters, because I feel like if you get really invested into a character, then you're more inclined to see how the story goes. Like, a great plot is obviously a plus, but I think if you really get attached to a character, you want to see how their story progresses. So the question for that is, do you have a least favorite book of all time that just really didn't work for you, and what is it? And luckily, Goodreads was not working earlier for my best YA book question, but it's working now, so I'm kind of just going through the list and seeing which one I really didn't like. Beast Made of Night. I went like full rant review on this one. Just nothing about this worked. The pacing was terrible. None of the characters were likable. The plot, like, structure and like the twists and everything like that, it was just all so bad. Yeah, just nothing about that book worked. The question after that is favorite song. Well, I'm glad you asked. Say it ain't so, I will not go. The question after that is, if you could create your ideal love triangle using actual YA characters, who would it be? Love triangles really work when it's all three people who are interested in each other. And I don't mean romantically, but I know that one of the Shadowhunters series, the very first one where it goes back in London, that has something like that, to where there's a main girl, both the guys like the girl, but the two guys are like best friends for life or something like that. So it like literally is a love triangle where no one wants to kind of like screw the other person over. So that's probably the kind of love triangle I would tolerate. Sebastian Hughes from Running with Lions, Alphonse Elric from the Full Metal Alchemist, and Laszlo Strange from Strange the Dreamer. This doesn't have really anything to do with like gender or sexual orientation or anything like that. The main reason why I picked it is because I think each one of them are so like adorable and cuddly and innocent, and they wouldn't really want to hurt anybody. So I think it would be so interesting and kind of funny to see how three people who are really empathetic and really sweet try to not hurt each other. Why is The Wheel of Time the greatest series ever? And I actually have not read it yet. I'm sure I'm no longer at 100 subscribers, but sorry. The question after that is, what is the best book you have read this year? That's really tough. It's definitely, I already mentioned it earlier, but it's definitely between Legendborn or Fireborn. That's funny. Either one of those would definitely take it. They're both vastly different. Do you have a book or a few that really ignited your love for reading at some point? And if so, what? This question is actually also roped in with a question that asks, what book got you into reading? I would obviously have to say Harry Potter. I think most people, when they were younger, definitely got started with Harry Potter. I think what worked so well about Harry Potter and got me into reading is it wasn't just a really fantastic story and an interesting world, but it was one of the first times I could really see myself in a world. You know, it's like you could easily, and sometimes it may be the detriment to Harry Potter, but you could easily sort of swap out Harry Potter and put yourself in your own Hogwarts robes, getting sorted, getting your own wand. It's like you could feel yourself living in that kind of world. I think that's why it works so well. I think that's why it drew so many people into reading, is to find these new worlds that you could like fall in love with and picture yourself in. So yeah, that's definitely the strongest one. Next question is, would you rather be a janitor on a space station in a sci-fi space battle or a farmer in the middle of a fantasy war, and why? I feel like I'd be nervous to be on any spaceship because it would instantly blow at any second, but I feel like in every fantasy novel, that's how they get you to feel for the people, is to say, this farmer and his family died. So I feel like I'm guaranteed a death if I'm a farmer in a fantasy war, and I may end up on the right ship at the right time if I'm a janitor on a spaceship. So I'm gonna pick janitor on a spaceship. Next question is, if your favorite sci-fi character and your favorite fantasy character fought one-on-one, who would win? I guess I first have to decide who my favorite fantasy character is. I feel like my favorite fantasy character is probably Shallan from the Stormlight Archives. And my favorite sci-fi character would be, I don't know if it's cheating, but I think I would, because I technically have read a book about Ahsoka and I read Star Wars books. But I feel like Ahsoka is one of my favorite sci-fi characters. So I guess it would be Ahsoka versus Shallan, and most likely Ahsoka would probably win, because even though Shallan did her magic stuff, Ahsoka could probably see through it. Plus, she's an actual fighter, and actually, I just realized they have basically the same swords. So I guess the real question is, what would win, a shard blade or a lightsaber? They both cut through material. Oh, interesting. Turn the lights off. Carry me. The next question after that is the best or favorite fantasy book no one seems to have heard of. Novice is a fantasy book I really enjoyed. It's essentially like a more digestible like Aragon mixed with like Pokemon. The last question that has just to do with books themselves is, what YA book do you recommend most for those who don't read a lot of YA? Recently, Andrew and Nico have both read my self-published novel Weavers, and they are pretty much primarily like adult fantasy readers, and they actually said it's a pretty good novel for people who actually don't read YA. So I actually can, with other people backing me up, say that if you're normally not into YA fantasy, you can probably read my novel and enjoy it. The question after that is, what inspired you to be a writer? Always sort of like found myself really interested in putting my own spin on certain stories. I, for the longest time, have always planted my own characters inside a world. I still do it today, but just like every time I read a story or watch a movie, I always create like my own character in there. So it kind of just grew from there until I was just creating like my own stories. I just have so many story ideas that I really want to basically get out on paper and share. I'm very imaginative, and I would like to express those imaginations. The question after that is, how do you deal with writer's block? If I ever have writer's block, I'd probably just get in the car and drive around listening to music. Second question is, why do you put up with Andrew and Nico's Wizards channel? Well, how did you think I got to 100 subscribers? Obviously, it's for the clout. Question is, what got you into art? Interestingly enough, I feel like my art and my writing and reading kind of all go hand in hand. I feel like since I was always in these like fantastical worlds or creating my own fantastical worlds, I wanted to see them out on paper. Very much like writing kind of gets that imagination, those ideas out onto paper in ink form. Or into words. I also wanted to express what my characters look like and kind of like what was happening. And art, writing, and reading like all mushed together. Personal questions, the next set. And the first one is, coolest thing you saw in Italy? Either the Trevi Fountain, which is like the really popular fountain in Rome. It's the fountain that you're supposed to like toss a coin into, and it like guarantees you'll go back to Rome or something like that. So yeah, I still need to go back to Rome at some point. Maybe when there's no longer a pandemic. There's actually this one city called Taormina. It's on Sicily. Oh, there's so many. Honestly, there's the Pantheon too, which is like this, it's also in Rome, but it's this big like domed building. Like this big hole in the middle at the top that's like completely open. I also saw the Sistine Chapel, and you're not supposed to take pictures. But I did. I was able to, because they watch you really carefully. So I had to basically hold my phone like down at my waist and act like I wasn't, and just looking up or whatever. And I was just trying to take photos like that. So completely blindly, I actually took a photo of the Sistine Chapels. And we actually, I don't remember, but the Pope was doing his like 100 language prayer or something like that. So we were visiting the Vatican at that point, or at that time. So he was sitting there praying like in like 100 languages or whatever. Man, there was so much. The question after that is, why is everything bigger in Texas? The land is very large. It takes forever If you're ever road tripping and you live in Texas, the longest state you'll be in is Texas. Question of that is, how many pets do you have? What all are they and their names? Very similar to that, someone asked, info on the doggos. How old are they? When did you get them? Are they snuggly reading buds? Well, let's go meet them. Segue. Nova, it's not your time for your interview yet. So first we come to the... Sir. So first... Oh, look at her. So first we have the baby Sarabi. She is not even a year old yet. When's her birthday? July 25th?
Yes.
24th. Yeah, 24th. Fun fact, the day after mine. So, and she is a Maine Coon. And yeah, she actually is really snuggly. She doesn't actually read, or she's not really snuggly with me whenever I read, but like anytime I go to bed, she always like... And next we have the second youngest. This is Mira. She's our pretty little girl. So I think she is almost 2 or 3 years old, and she's she has a little bit of a social anxiety, but she's still so sweet and quiet. And she's obviously a Siberian Husky. And then you're not supposed to play favorites with your children, but this is Nova. He's the oldest, my sweet boy. And I just love him so much. That little girl. So Nova's actually 4, going on 5. And he is definitely probably the snuggliest one. Or maybe not even snuggliest, but every time like I pretty much go anywhere, he usually follows me and he'll want to kind of sit there when I read or anything like that. So if I was to have a reading buddy out of all my 3 pets, it'd probably be Nova. He's just such a good boy. So yeah, that is it. These are my fur babies. I left Sarabi in the other room because she's just snoozing. But yeah, those are them. Those are their names. And those are how cuddly they are. So the next section of questions is food related. So the first one is, what is your favorite pasta? It'd actually probably be like bow tie noodles. I don't know why. One of my ex-girlfriends, her favorite was always bow tie noodles, so I always made it a lot. And for some reason, I really liked it. I think it's just the most interesting to eat. I don't know why I'm going to explanation about pasta. It's bow tie noodles. Question of that is, how do you make a chocolate souffle? And I will post it right here. So pause and enjoy. Make that wonderful souffle. Yum yum. Work sucks. I know. Can I have a high five from Andrew? And yep, you ready? Here it comes. This is 1 hour and 7 minutes so far, unedited. So the question after that is, can I get a yeehaw? Question after that is, who is a better avatar, Korra or Aang? I think though that Aang is definitely the better avatar, and I believe that Korra is, this sounds weird, but a better person. So it's like I feel like Aang's whole journey was to be like a better avatar, whereas Korra, she was already a very powerful avatar, but she kind of had to learn to be like a human, and she went through a lot of trials that were very personal, because Aang, he dealt with stuff like the genocide of people, and I'm getting so existential about like this question, so that's what I have to say for that answer. Question after that is the Dewey Decimal System all an elaborate hoax to keep us from finding forbidden magical books? Well, if it is, it didn't work. Am I going to leave that wink in there? I can't wink, so I don't think I'm going to leave that in there. The question after that is, if you had a dragon, what would you name it? I would really want like a green dragon that like maybe breathed green fire, and I would like name it like Viridian. Question after that is, can you demonstrate your best roar? Did I look like Ron? Do you think I'd be such a fool? And the last question is, if you could spend 1 hour with a live octopus, would you? Hell yeah. Be like, yo, what up, Pus. That is my Q&A. So thank you guys so much for submitting all your questions. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Connect with me on all my social medias down below. I'm on Goodreads, Instagram, and Twitter. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the subscribers. I have to go edit this. And it's an hour and 15 minutes. Oh shit. Never go on, never.